Hey guys, welcome back, or I guess you should say to me, welcome back. Does everybody even remember who I am? Nah.
Guy from Korea.
It's not Kim Jong-un.
I'm not Dennis Rodman.
It's a meeting of great minds.
By the way, I was doing dishes.
What's with the wad of singles in your pocket? Well, one thing that I wanted to talk about today was don't chisao like you're at an 8th grade dance, all right? What do I actually mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I guess the best way that I can explain it to you guys is just by simply demonstrating it. So if you see guys chisaoing, or even you recognize this with yourself, when you're practicing with your partner, the biggest thing to kind of look at this point is how much distance you have between you and your partner. When we talk about chisao, among the many things that it develops, is one of range or distance. So for instance, if I'm with my partner...
Wait, this is dance. Am I leading or are you?
I'm leading, of course.
How come I have to be the chick?
So if Sifu is the chick...
We're cutting.
Let's say you're chisaoing, right? Well, a lot of times what you might see, and what I mean by not being at an 8th grade dance, is people kind of blocking themselves out. They're way too far away from one another. Your arm positions or your hand technique is too far extended, okay? And what happens at this point? What are you doing when you and your partner start rolling? Well, if he starts doing attacks, all right, I don't really have a lot of control of my hand technique, and if he keeps going, all right, what I'm starting to do, what you can't really see is I'm starting to muscle it a lot more, all right? And the point that I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of, when your arms are too far extended, what's happening is you're, one, using too much muscle, and you're not using enough of your body to support the hands. So conversely, that works the same way with if you're too far in or your technique is collapsing, all right? When we talk about hand technique, we're looking at what we call, that V shape of the arms in any position, whether you're in tan, bong, lap, pak, wu, any sort of hand technique. When I'm working on this, because this has been something that has been a challenge for me over the last year.
Just a year?
That I've actually recognized over the last year, is that I tend to get lost and I'm not really focused on my roll, and my arms will start, extending out too far, and if the attacks start coming in, then I start collapsing it, and I don't really have that awareness or that connection between the hands and the body. So going back to what I was saying a little bit earlier is, how do you problem solve this? How do you fix it? The way to troubleshoot it is simply by going back to the roll, all right? For instance, and I'll touch on that, but when we talk about the V shape, right? Right here, you think about 3 things when it comes to hand technique. One is the shoulder stretch. Shoulder stretch, actually I'll demonstrate from tan. Shoulder stretch, elbow sink, and then wrist, fingers release, or shoot. Stretch, sink, shoot, right here. Tanzao, the way we do it, is flat, and it's got this shape right here. Again, the V shape. Sometimes you'll see people do the tanzao up like this. Sometimes it's down here, all right? But the way we do it like this tends to, if there's that connection between the body and the hands, is you have that body support behind the hands, all right? So when you're rolling, you want to make sure, and another thing that you can kind of point out that would be hard to see at this angle is, if I just show you, here, you want to make sure that your elbows are pretty much even on the same plane. High fuk, tanzao, bong sao, low fuk. If I took a stick and put it across, with the fuk sao and the high fuk sao and the tanzao, it should be level, that plane right here where the elbows are, all right? Fuk sao shouldn't be too far forward. Tanzao shouldn't be back, but even. All right, the balance has to be in that triangle right there, and that goes with any combination of any hand technique that you're using. All right, so the simple fix is simply just doing the roll motion, practicing the roll motion on your own, because you're not always going to have a partner with you. All right. On top of that, one thing to start looking beyond or looking into a little bit deeper is having that focus towards your partner. What are you doing with the hands? The hands, number one, are covering your center. So you have to make sure that the hand structure, the hand technique, and that coverage is right in front of you. We call that the shield. All right. The second point is that you want to be aiming at your partner's center the entire time. Okay. You don't ever want to go offline. That's what we mean about aiming towards the center line. And then having that forward focus. Okay. So the intent that you want to go towards your opponent's or your partner's center. All right. So covering yourself, covering your center, aiming towards your partner's center, but then also having the focus or intent to go at the center. Now, what do I actually mean about that intent? Well, some lines that you might see, the way they explain dominating that center line is going, what I see is that they actually go around the center. So if I switch to Futsal, so you guys can see it from this angle, what tends to happen is now both our hands are occupying that center line. All right, if we go roll back once more. Knowing that his hands are occupying the center as well, we're at a neutral point right now. However, if I go in for the attack, again, a little more difficult to see from this angle, but there's a slight movement to the outside to come back in. That's not going down the center. All right, what that's actually doing is going around the center line. And what's happening is my body is shifting around to go around that line back into the center. Well, what does that do? It leaves me open for attack right there. So you have to have that forward focus towards your partner's center and using the body balance between both hands when you're forming that triangle and drilling in to go in for that hit, okay? Same concept does also apply for blocking as well. But center coverage is a big thing that I've been trying to work on. So in short, fix the hand technique, make sure that your hand structure is even, all right, and that you have the proper shape of the hands and that you're maintaining that at all times. Typically what happens where this gets lost is the partner that you end up working with. They could be short, they could be tall, and it's easy to get too far extended. If I'm rolling with somebody that's taller, well, I'm thinking to myself, I can't get hit, so he's on stilts. All right, so all of a sudden, I'm out of my area right here. My bong is way too high, all right? No pun intended, I guess. All right, I have to make sure that I'm within my comfort zone right here. This right here is probably the maximum point of my bong style if I'm rolling with somebody that's much taller than I, all right? But you also have to make those adjustments, all right? In terms of distance, for instance, if my partner is much taller, I shouldn't have to adjust by raising up my bong style, but that might mean that I have to actually adjust by going in a little bit more so that I'm at my comfort level, okay? So I know it's a lot of stuff. I'm still actually trying to work on this conceptually for myself, but I hope that kind of scratches the surface or maybe plants a seed for you guys. Thanks.
Siri, check what pun means.